Hello everyone, can you hear me? How's the sound, guys? Audio is good. Great. So, hello everyone, how are you doing today? Touch low, eh? Let me boost it a little bit. Is it better? Is it better? Are we good? Sound check, sound check. Better. Great. All right. So, lots of work, little sleep lately. That's what's going on at Starworld here. But it feels good because we're making a lot of great progression. You're a bit too white. I do look white on the screen, don't I? Something is up with my camera. One day I'm orange, one day I'm white, but I guess it's fine. So yeah, we've been spending a lot of focus on performance as one of the big thing. As you all now know, we're moving over to Unreal Engine 5. This will be a very huge milestone. Being the world first MMORPG on this technology, Unreal Engine 5. And you know, Unreal 5 comes with a huge update, especially when it comes to how to illuminate the game world, making it much more realistic and beautiful. And along with that, usually comes some requirements on hardware, which means, you know, obviously it comes at a small baseline increased cost of various things when it comes to utilizing this technology. So we worked very hard to make sure that client performance is as good as possible. And you guys helped us out with a battle test. What was it, 2 patches ago, right? The first battle, we identified stalls, CPU stalls, where people froze during mid-combats, if you remember what I'm talking about, if you were here in that test, which obviously raised some concerns when it comes to battle experience, right? So we put all hands on identifying that. So we had a debug client. So with your help, we identify those bottlenecks and different things causing the stalls. And the patch we went on PTR yesterday had those fixes in it. And you guys were very helpful again to pretty much confirm our possible fixes, and it seems like you got the same confirmation result as we did, which means very smooth experience in mid-combat as well. It was very clear what stood out along with the new engine that kind of didn't behave good enough. So there's a few things that we utilize more now, which is actually the hard drives. So if any one of you getting some stall still and you are on a old mechanical drive, that is one component that is being a little bit out of date. There are cases where you load data and you notice those stalls more or starters more on an old hard drive. So it's not optimal anymore to use those older hard drives for these types of games. We already seen a few games that actually have it as a requirement, which is quite jerry. But we understand why, right? And of course, also depending very much if you have a very old CPU, old GPU, obviously it's going to be difficult to run it in with amazing FPS. That's just how it works with a little bit newer technology. But very happy to see from the feedback based on the test that very smooth overall. Also increased baseline FPS since last build. And that's been a lot of the hard work the team have been doing when it comes to performance, and just running around in the world without having these huge, as you call them, node lines, are pretty much removed from the game, but they are level streams, and they are mostly gone now from the game in all locations. There may still be some very short drops in FPS, but it should absolutely not be the long several seconds freezes. So we have a few things today that is gonna be interesting to go through with you guys. I'm waiting on a little document that we're gonna also go through when it comes to upcoming roadmap work and focus. Did we push live the 5.3 hotfix, guys? Did we do a PTR patch today, or we haven't? I'm a little bit out of the loop here. No, we didn't, right? No. So we do have one important hotfix. We identified one big stall on, like I said, older hard drives. Had a huge stall, several seconds, even more than that. And we got a hotfix from Epic Games that's supposed to fix that, so it's much more acceptable for those that have older hard drives. Kind of document. So I'm gonna present to you the different features and content that we're gonna vote on and discuss more in depth, and then we'll build the roadmap based on that. John Oldman, thank you for the subscription. Hi there. Hi there. Staff Magic is on that list, so we will shortly go through it. Danny, thank you for the bits. When we get the MO1 armor system where copper-based armor like TM provide shock resilience and material like ABAM and Pyrophyte block other types of magic. We never had that in Mortal 1. You didn't have armor that resisted any magic. This is the first time we actually add categories to be able to affect exactly that. So as you've seen already with elementalism, some of the damage types are magical, heat, blunt, piercing, and obviously armor works as you would expect, negating blunt or piercing, for instance, or slash. So let's see. There is a Diva system also on this list. We will go through it shortly. You want more FOV? You want higher FOV? I can take a look on my notes to see if it's possible to increase a little bit. We'll see. Steering wheel. We'll take a look on the FOV settings if there's something we can add. Sitting in a chair is on the list. Yes, it comes included in a little specific feature that I will go through shortly here. We are still working on updating the bubble and the taxes so that's more clear and understanding. They're obviously, they go on top of each other's, confuse what goes where, right? So we are still working on that and polishing. Guild members must have access for paying upkeep for all guild structures. Yeah, that's one topic, right? We have got a lot of feedback since we announced our latest PTR patch notes. And that's always good to get indication and feedback and discussions while there's still time and testing things, right? I will be voting on roadmap work. So first of all, we're gonna go through it, right? And then we're gonna post it also on the forum so everyone can read it in whatever they want and can, so they get a good understandings of exactly what we aim to deliver along with those features and content. And then we will open up the voting session, which kind of so you will be able to log into your account on our website, and there will be a option to vote on these different categories here. There will most likely be a few ones that you will be able to select in each category, and then we will use that as indication of, hopefully help us iron out interest and the different order of things, because it's a huge list, right? I can't even guess in total how much development time we're talking about when it comes to covering the entire list, but obviously some of them may be much more important to have early on rather than later on, right? So those are the things we're going to try to together go through. You're going to send an email to all owners of the game? What do you mean, for the votes or what? A voting game for subscribers. Yeah, we'll take a look, right? Currently we're looking at using the account section because that's the system connected to Steam, Epic Games, and the payment solutions, which allows us to identify players, and we could also identify subscription status and such. So obviously we want to make the voting as controlled as possible. So yes, we are looking into those different options. Will it be one vote for account or one vote for copy? So those are the details, right? We're gonna clear out. Either it's gonna be you log into your account and vote, obviously, which means then if that case, if you have 3 accounts, you can log into those 3 accounts and that will result in 3 votes. So we'll have to see, right? One suggestion, as someone said here, tie them to active accounts. That's one solution, right? What is about no bought items? So that's the thing. We're not really selling any items. We're not gonna add a microtransaction shop where you can buy your weapons or anything like that. We offer, as many wanted, a package discount for those that know that they've been here for a long time. They're still following the process, which means they see the support pack that we're offering now. That is a nice discount. And if anyone wanted to jump aboard on that already now, that would be, an option for those. And since we haven't really opened up the gates again for random new players, no marketing, no awareness, it's mostly our current player base that see this only. But yeah, the first step is to go through the different topics options for the roadmap, and the next step is to have the voting session. I'm not sure exactly when we start it, but obviously we're gonna make it well known for everyone. All right. One moment, I'm a little bit distracted here while I set up the sheets for the roadmap. I don't want to put the sheet documents. I want to put up a little nice picture in the stream so everyone can follow. So bear with me if I'm a little bit distracted for a moment here, and then we'll go back at it. All right. Still have more than 1,000 more accounts due to CC shenanigans. Cancellation available for Savage Mantle Pack, please. What do you mean, Goose or Mick? What do you mean? How often does Starwatt hope to have actual content patches going forward? So, as you've seen, it's been quite painful for us just as a view. You know, obviously we've never been this standing still for this long since forever. We had to make the critical decision to jump over and freeze the branches pretty much, which kind of put live status into a frozen state, and not in the best state. We fully agree with that, especially with a lot of important TC polishing fixes that has been reported since we delivered those functions. And naturally, if nothing happens for a long time and it's not the best state, population goes down, people take breaks, and that was kind of expected. And that's why we need to get going with Unreal 5, put the core in, because with that in, finally we can move forward, right? So one branch, one effective team working on the same branch and content and engine. So next week we deliver Unreal Engine 5. With that in place, we can finally make more frequent patches, including hot fixes if we need to. And the plan is to have more regular patches. So most likely we will have one small focused patch, and then maybe a little bit larger patch, and then small again, and cycle like that. Something similar we did during beta phases. We've gone through a few different cycles, as you've seen. I think we had quite a record phase during beta phase. We just threw out tons of content and features, but obviously during beta we didn't have the same requirement on polish states. So obviously we need to make sure we don't just throw out huge, big, many systems at the same time. We want to make sure that we have enough time to do some PTR rounds and then go live with that on the live server. Agree that Unreal 5 should have been a priority, but my God, you guys need to drop some content this year. We agree, you know. So, but Unreal 5 comes with a few important things, not only fancy looking lights, right? It comes with very important core upgrades, improvements for the future, a much better foundation, much better capacity in many ways. And of course, we are future proof for many years to come when it comes to having one of the best looking MMO on the market. But with that, we also have a huge list of bug fixing and polishing, a lot of TC fixing, as I mentioned, and also very important system that helps especially new players that are quite lost when I arrived to Milan, but also content for veterans to play around with, obviously, which is the task systems. And we got a lot of surprisingly positive feedback from a lot of veterans when it comes to the task system. So it's not only there for new players, but obviously important part to get them going a little bit, because that's I've been fully been missing. Are you planning to expand your studio when subs go live, or how are you deciding when to expand the team? So yeah, the plan is, as we mentioned before, we obviously aim to slowly grow over time in a hopefully controlled manner. We're gonna pinpoint important marketing influencers, awareness for the game. So obviously the goal is to have a steady growth, hopefully a steady growth of subscribers, active players, and along with more resources, which is obviously a huge game changer for us and for all of us, right? The game will change for the better the more resources we're able to get. So absolutely, we plan to reinvest any profits that are possible will be put back to the development of the game. We are looking to expand in various areas in the studio. All right. One moment. So that was about that one, I guess. 3-month dev cycle with a content patch that provides at least 2 months of content is fine, and smaller patch in between for quality of life, bug fix, etc. Yeah. We tried a few different phases over the past 2 years, and I think we have a pretty decent understanding and experience within the team, how much and where we can focus together as a team, and how we put that puzzle together depending on what content we are working on. And we see a lot of beneficial when we dedicate the entire team on very few areas, so we can work as a team together and really make the best out of it, rather than having it too split up in many different small teams. And also, since it's so important to deliver stable, polished content moving forward, especially now when subscription is going to be enabled as well. And yeah, I mean, again, it's very important that we have regular updates, improvement, quality of life, along with carefully picked content and features, so we know that there's always an interesting for players to join in the game. Someone that taking a break can come back months later and see interesting new systems, from everything from combat to non-combat, that just adds more sand to the game, makes more players interested of the game. There will be something for everyone over time, more or less, and that will expand also over time. It's a true sandbox game. That is the key word for Mortal 9, right? Don't worry, Henrik, I know you made a good move with Unreal 5, just we really need some fun stuff this year. Our guild's struggling with this a lot, and I'm sure a lot others are. Yeah, absolutely. And I think we're gonna find those golden gems on the roadmap that I'm gonna present shortly. And I think those will be creating the upcoming very exciting patches. And obviously we're getting close to Christmas, right? And we always have a little bit Christmas holidays around there, so we need to be careful not overdo those things. But we are planning to have a little Christmas patch. That's a nice little tradition we have every Christmas for Immortal 9. I'm sure many of you guys have experienced some of those seasons already. Sorry. Oh. Yeah, excuse. Sometimes it becomes a little bit of a Q&A early on, but I am waiting on a picture I'm gonna put on here with some of the information. That's why I'm doing some question answers while we wait. That's why I was a little bit delayed on today's stream as well. The support pack is going in a steady rate. Yes, we are very happy to see the support within the player base. And like I said, every small step like that makes an impact directly. That's what's very exciting for us. We are a small independent company. We don't have huge expenses compared to the giants. We are not hundreds of developers. I mean, our salaries doesn't really compete with the giants either, because we have to do what's possible, right? You know, whatever we can cover, we cover, right? We try to make this happen, and we know that we only have this shot to make this as good as possible. And if we get the support by the players, we are able to finally grow and continue this journey and just add more and more over time. Frog the Pirate with the subscription. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. Is any content already planned after only 5 update, or are you waiting completely on the community decision? So obviously there's a few things we know, quality of life, fixes, polish, that is ongoing as they arise, get reported. So we always have some dedicated time for polish, right? Going through those reports from the players, reproduce them, recreate those cases, confirm them, and then put them to the right developers to handle them. There's always a lot of that going on in the background, and over time, obviously, it goes down, right? The more of those we have fixed, the less of those get reported. But there's also a good list of quality of life. That is also quite a decent list that may not be critical, but very appreciated for all players, right? So we're looking at those things as well every now and then to see where we can put some of those in. For instance, the broker system, right? Better filter and options there is something a lot of people are looking forward to. So those are some of the things. The chat window system, there's quite a few things there we can improve as well and give us filter and options. So there's a decent list of quality of life that we know we want sooner or later. But we also know how important it is with content and feature now when we've been still for so many months. People are hungry for new stuff, right? And that's part of these types of game, right? As long as we have a steady progression, people are steadily playing, right? Okay, let's see. One moment, guys. But yeah, again, it's varies a lot, right? Depending on who we're talking to here, what kind of content, what kind of fixes, what kind of quality of life. So it's important that we try to look at what is the biggest bang for the buck, pretty much, right? Should stop consulting on the seed with their option. It looks bad. What do you mean? We're not consulting with Odin Seed. It was a long time I even met them in game. I saw some streams yesterday, but that's it pretty much. Players interact with the system the devs give them. When those systems drastically change, like the new red system, the devs or reset option, or otherwise we're asking players to play the future. I mean, we always talked about consequences, red players murdering, griefing the nations and all that, and it's always been the same stance on that. Mortal Line is not a Rust game without consequences where you can go murder and grief or kill anyone at any time. I mean, you can, right? But there are consequences. It is a persistent MMORPG also, not only a quick session survival in and out game. And I think we have been pushing on that very hard in every stream and every announcement since Mortal Line got announced many years ago. And we try to explain and write about all the future content, including future content that may be far away, but mentioned that those are plans. We have visions, you know. So that's also part of the long journey, right? Yeah, we are already adding guard towers and patrolling guards around the nations and the starting cities. Any final decision on account card transfers? No, so the Diva system is one of the points here, right? And that is first off supporting additional character slot on one account that comes with a few technical quirks that we have to go through. The second question that comes after that from a lot of players is obviously, would it be possible to merge an account? And that is another secondary technical component that needs to be addressed. We need to look at one thing at a time, right? Division, Lindis. Division. I believe in you, Henrik. Get them guards up, like you said, 4 and 5, and some stability, and we are good to go. Feels amazing, man. Roadmap. As far as content, I feel like spiritists need more spells. Yeah, so as you know, we have a final group for elementalism, the entities, which is a pretty cool thing for elementalists. And then finally, that very large school that went a little bit too on the top is finished. We plan to do a little revisiting on some of the older schools. And then, only then, after, we are looking to continue, depending on some of the feedback, obviously, in what prioritized order other schools should be in. There are about 9 camps coming with Unreal 5 patch as well. So we looked at the world map, Milan, from top to bottom, where there are fewer, and we try to spread some of those in those more empty areas. So yes, about 9 so far. What about long-term look like for lawless wilderness zones? Will there be real reason for players to venture in these areas? So obviously, depending on what we're looking at here, if we're looking at wilderness PvP oriented content, which you will see some of those also on this list that we're going to talk about, we know obviously that we need content in those areas as well for those that are here for combat, wars. There's many different areas that promote that kind of conflicts, hotspots with different features. And some of them are very naturally placed in wilderness areas. So anyone that want to compete with that can go to those areas, and obviously will most likely have conflicts with other like-minded groups, right? So yeah, there's a lot on the map when it comes to that kind of content as well. And like I said, we will have some of those topics to go through on roadmap. Shit, I'm freezing, guys. It's like 20. No, it's like 18 degrees in this room. Even I have a thick sweater. It's so cold. My feet and hands are like ice bits. Winter is coming. Winter is coming. Okay, let's see. It looks like I have the topics, guys. I'm just gonna download them correctly. What the hell did I click? And then we're gonna go add it. One moment here. Newies, thank for the prime. Appreciate it. I'm most interested in the roadmap. Yes, we will cover it very soon. Give me a little moment. I'm waiting some of my artists that are putting it together so I can display it in a proper way. That's what I'm waiting right now. Dragon in a jungle? Hope thievery never happens. Did you see thievery in Mortal 1, Orson? It was a pretty cool feature, but it has some flaws in Mortal 1 that we are correcting in Mortal 2 that I think will make it more enjoyable and more balanced. Oh my god, we got Razmilknakov with the Prime 12 month. Thank you very much. 12 month. Got another one, eh? Comment man, thank you very much. 8 months. You're killing it. Killing it. Desert troll? I'm not sure what type of trolls we will see over time. Mortal 1 had a balance issue, I agree, which was there wasn't really consequences to a berserker theft death repeat, right? And that is the balance thing we are addressing in Mortal 2. The thorax, the Tagmaton invasion. Is that what you're telling me? Sorry guys, I have a lot of different things going on here. I'm distracted. Thumbbear, exactly. I'm telling the artist, please send over my roadmap picture so we can start going through it. And they are fiddling around with it, so any moment now, any moment now. Optional payment method before 28th of November, so more people be able to buy a supporter pack. So we've been struggling a lot with our payment providers to fill in so many different things to get covered of all those areas. As late of today, they told me yesterday that they would have all the different sections approved by today, but instead of sending us it's approved, they said, sorry, we have a few more lists you need to fill out. And we did that today, send them back. And now I'm not sure if I got a response on that. No, I haven't. But hopefully we will have a quick response tomorrow. And hopefully we can have that up and running and supporting for all the different options and regions. We've really been on them on a daily basis. Because obviously we're running out of time, right, for the 28th. yeah, the distraction is partly related with the, the roadmap. I need to get it correctly right so we can get the proper thing up on the stream here. An update on the new armor that were shown a few months ago. Do you mean the pet armor? If so, yeah, we have a few packs of pet armor finished. We are finalizing the horse armor now as the last piece, and then we have a pack available for us to implement in any of the upcoming patches. There's one important component that we are missing, and that is a balance factor tied to armor. Obviously, having heavy armor should also mean that it comes at a cost for the pet, right? Like speed effects and so on. Yes, we are working on a attack system and UI updates. So the main problem here is the UI. The UI doesn't display the things correctly, and that causes a lot of confusion and issues. And we are working on that now. Still wondering if you believe that starting off as the best option for a returning red player. No, I mean, you have multiple ways of start working for nation, right? And over time have those decays. A lot of people enjoy being a red player, but still playing around cities, having access to cities, but at the risk, right? That is the main difference if you go to a city, right? Roadmap in Notepad, please, eh? Mad King, fire arrows should damage shields, Dura, Henrik. Yeah, kind of makes sense. I agree. Thank you for the 6 month. Appreciate it. Lifetime packs for sale. I'm not sure yet. We are getting the final stuff required on all the entire setup for the payment subscription and all that, the different packs. And with that in place, it shouldn't be too much problem for us to expand on that slightly. But we need to set up the first requirement first of all before we can relax and have time for the next step, right? No, we won't have those armors along with the Unreal 5 update. Like I said, we're missing one technical component that balances them, and it's quite important balance. We can't have them full optimal speed and ability to fight without any effect if they have very heavy armor, right? They become more tanky, then they also need to get, you know, the pro cons balance-wise, right? So we need to be careful to not just rush it out there without this important balance factor. I'm gonna open the roadmap shortly, J-Man. I'm waiting on 3 of my devs that are doing some various things connected to that, but I will get it in a moment, so bear with me, please. Any thoughts on adding a friendly or neutral category like alliances with different colors? Add how? Do you mean momentum online? How do you mean adding it? Write it on toilet paper. Just got here anything interesting. So we got a little recap of our current status. Next week we are finally hitting Unreal 5, a huge important milestone and a huge burden off our shoulders, because we can finally go back to more effective work as a team on one branch, one engine, one technology, and also start getting to those juicy content-wise that we are all dying to get now, since we've been still for such a long time on live states. And we're gonna very shortly go through our coming, what we call community roadmap discussion, right? We're gonna go through the different options, and then we're gonna also post them on the forums for everyone to see over time. Gonna make sure we have them described. And the next step after that is to allow you all to push your votes using your account section on our website. So they are quite restricted on how you can vote, right? Fire spell should make the building catch fire and burn down. So you just shoot one fireball on a house and then the house burn down, Verloof. Is that what you mean? Sounds quite severe to me. Battering rams when? So that is, if we see a big indication that we need more siege mechanics for upcoming TC components, there's a few things when it comes to TC, like specific, you will see it in roadmap, specific TC services. And that could be anything from, we want a new siege mechanic weapon, or a new shop system like, or service, or NPC service, or function in any way or form. There are multiple options there. But again, then we can see the interest from how many players want this and that in early rather than late and such like that. Tashinki, indeed. Any comments on all of the lighting issues players seems to have in Unreal 5? Do I have a specific screenshot? I have looked a little bit here and there. So I want to know what you are referring to with lighting issue with Unreal 5. If it's something that are broken, or what we're talking about here. I haven't heard a lot that there's a specific lighting issue, so I need to know what we're talking about. Then MC red is a stupid idea. How many MCs would you have to be red, and what number? How many innocents should you be able to slay before you are a murderer? Let me jump down a little bit here. What can we vote on? You will see in a moment. These brokers. There's no account option in the site. Yes, there are. If you click on, for instance, buying the support pack, it tells you to log into your account, right? And when you have logged into your account there, you are in the account section, and that would give you information like if you have a support pack, if you bought the game, your subscription information will be here, infractions may be there, and the voting option will be put there. Where are we on crossbows? It's on the list. You will see. Just a moment. They will send it to me in a minute. We're almost there, guys. 10 is still very generous. Not 10 MC is perfect. Lol. MC red 5. 1. 42. 1. I mean, that's a little bit severe, right? 5. 150. Holy shit, you're gonna kill an entire guild. Lol, 10 is fine. 10. It sounds like a reasonable number. Why did someone say it was stupid when it seems like that's a good number that many agree on? How stupid. Super excited for Lumens. Sorry. Super excited for Lumens and Nanites. I'm getting 100 plus frames on cinematic, 4K plus DLSS. Is the Unreal 5 build coming with DLSS 3.5? Yes, we are on 3.5 right now. We're looking to add frame generation whenever we have the time and opportunity. We've been looking into it a little bit. I'm not sure exactly where we stand with FSR yet. We have TSR, which is Epic's own solution to upscaling, very similar to DLSS. The good thing with TSR is it works on any graphic card. DLSS is for NVIDIA cards, right? And FSR is eventually for AMD cards only, equivalent to DLSS. They're doing the same thing in general, but a little bit differently, and different effectiveness, and how they handle their frames is a little bit different. So you may have different results, and some may prefer the TSR solutions over DLSS, and vice versa, depending on your preferences of looks and feel, even though they are not very, very different. But yeah, I've been running on DLSS, balanced, looks very good, and runs smooth. It gives you a nice boost, especially if you play on high resolution monitors. And I tried it on 4K, a 4K monitor, and it's super smooth using DLSS. When is the world hit and body going to start to play a factor? So we decided that Milan is in the normal temperature range, to not go to any extremes. And it seems like a lot of people find that as a good middle ground. And whenever you go to Sarka or the Nordveld, the extremes to hot regions or very cold regions, that's when you see these temperature go to very severe levels, when it start to affect you severely again, and your different gear, etc., will have an important factor playing in those areas. While Milan is in the mid-range, that won't really heavily affect you in a negative way. All right, let's see. I think we got the files I've been looking for, guys. Just gonna confirm. Okay. Let's see. What the hell happens? Okay. Yeah, one moment, I'm getting them now. It's quite a list. That's why it takes a little time for me to put them up here. All right. Okay, let's proceed then. So let's move over to this little one, and I'm just gonna what the hell am I? Okay, here it is. Let's see, where the hell is number one? Right. Let's start with our community roadmap discussion, right? So here we are starting with a few main features. Some very large. We're gonna also have the indication when we post this on the forums that some of them are very huge project, while some of them are smaller. So the puzzle here is to, if we have a high demand on some of the large features, obviously the work needs to start as early as possible, but it doesn't mean that it may be possible to deliver them in the first upcoming roadmap, even though we have picked it as a highest demand on it. So that is our next part, to kind of show estimated time frame in terms of this is a very huge project, which means it will be a few weeks or month back, which means it may be on roadmap number 2 and roadmap number 3. It depends on the different features, right? But here are some of the main features that will be presentable as votables. We have the wagon system, which is a pretty cool system, quite self-explanatory. You will be able to have some different types of wagons where you connect your animals to, and you will be able to transport very heavy goods, and there will be different types for effective to transport just heavy goods, like supply runs, siege machinery, equipments, or whatever, or just have as a little wagon for you and your friends and your, you know that wagon in the gladiator arena where you can actually run around on them and do combat in various forms, but as a less agile version compared to just being one person on a mount, right? The veteran system is a quite important system, we say, for many in the game, because a lot of people can finish their character quite quickly, especially a fighter. And then you have your clades that you work towards. This is just one of the section, guys, so bear with me. We're gonna go through all slides. But what happens here is after the clade have been maxed, you unlock a new progression type for your character, and that allows you to get additional experience that unlocks different, give you more experience that you can distribute either on action or crafting areas. They have a different cost depending on where you distribute them, and some of these levels also may give you some bonuses to your stat pool and so on. So, and we're talking about, I don't know if there's going to be a cap on 1,000 levels or something, but the first steps are where your character gets mostly affected. So it's not like you have to play the game for 1 year to be competitive, right? That's something we're never going to approach in that area. But you can expand your character additionally, especially early on, which means you can learn more skill points, distribute in different ways, and build your character even further and more with more depth. And then eventually those levels mostly give you more fluffy things like cool titles and different types of rewards without being tied to your character when it comes to combat and PvP, right? So eventually you can be like Jake, have your bragging rights. I'm level 455. I'm the biggest level in the world. I'm the badass player. And there's an infinite progression on that level. You see what I mean? So it's a system that allows you to Jake, system that allows you to further push your small progression to cool progression on your character. You see what I mean, right? That's the basic of it. Classic Jake. So the veteran system is a cool thing, and there's also a secret, a big secret to your current clade, and you have no clue. But when you see it, when you look at the clade window, you're gonna see, holy shit, I didn't have a clue. I didn't know that was a thing. But that's something we wanna do as well. Gonna make sense when you see what that is. It's a little bit of a secret, but it's already in the clade window. If you look at the clade window, there may be a clue, right? So that is in short the veteran system. The third one, we don't have a proper name yet. Transforms. What transforms? I'm not talking about transforms here now. Okay, the third one, dimension run. Good old name I used for 10 years ago. Maybe we need a proper name, right? But what this is, you recognize it in another game today already, and it seems to be a popular game. So if I'm just gonna explain it short, right? So dimension run, it allows you as a city owner to construct a certain building that opens up a gate to another dimension. There are certain rules tied to this and how you do it, but someone else in the world can also trigger a gate. It's dark and dark about mortal, kinda. So that means you have a certain amount of sets or amount of players that you can bring, and it needs to be equal side. One other thing in a game like this, there can be dynamic fights happening, but quite often they're quite unfair, right? You know what I mean? If you see enemies of 5 people, it's safer if we are 6, right? It's a classic thing. But in this case, you have to sign up with the terms, right? You go to this dimension, and that is a very specific cool dungeon with specific things, treasure traps, mobs, and obviously in the middle you will face down the other side's group. There will be only one side survivor that can bring out the loot. You see what I mean? That's our good old dimension run. It's a cool system, and it allows you to you know, have those fair-sided setup fights for adventure and danger. Game within a game, kinda. You know, we have many dimensions in Modern Line, and this is where we tap into one of those dimensions in a certain cool way. It was a very old design we had in the game, but we weren't sure it's gonna be popular or if the player wanted it. And then bam, 10 years later came Darker and Darker, and a lot of people seem to enjoy that game. So yeah, there are some similarities. So that is that system. So it's going to be interesting to see, you know, how interested are our players in our different features we are presenting here. Number 4, the Diva system. So the Diva system is where 2 kind of soul siblings are connected to each other in a certain way, and it allows you to have another character on your account. We talked about this many times. You have been asking for it for a few, I don't know, quite a long time now, right? It requires some specific updates and changes for us for it to work and fit, but it's on the list to see how the players are looking at that feature as well. The 4th one is Thievery, also quite self-explanatory. We had a Thievery in the first game. The big change we're gonna do here, that is to balance it in a better way, more risk reward, which means you can't run around as a naked thief and steal things. You need somewhere to put the stolen goods, like clothing, gear. You also need some tools to be efficient at stealing. So you actually have an investment before you steal, which means you can't just go steal, die res repeat, because you're gonna lose value by doing that. So that will hopefully put the thievery more in balance order. They have to think twice before they do a theft, right? So that's in general one of the big thing that is was missing in thievery that we're gonna balance this time around. And along with thievery also obviously comes lock picking, things like that, which is a cool thing to explore the world in different forms, where you may need a thief in your group to access into all the different loots that will be available. So there's quite a few things that obviously tie with thievery. Arena with ladder ranking system. So the arena system can be quite insane, but we're gonna start with one kind of pack, you know, the baseline, the back end, the system for it, how we separate the performance loading for the arena, so you have no competitive network when signing up for this. And we're gonna have a back-end system that tracks the outcome, rewards, ranking, and, you know, the gladiator of the month. That could be titles and rewards and capes and things to wear when you are that, and you have to defend it every week or month depending on what it is. You can sign up for weekly or monthly tournaments, and you have a ranking system, and you can also do them you know, you use them individually. So the arena system can be quite wide, and there's a lot of things, and we can keep adding to it. Like if you want to do a team versus team fight and team versus mobs and see how far you can go before you all die to compete with AI. So there's a lot of cool things we can expand on it, but obviously we want to start with the most important component that a lot of people would be interested in. Jousting absolutely could be one. But like I said, we need to pinpoint what part do we start out with if the arena system is something a lot of people are looking forward to. Mounted ranking, absolutely, that's one. But as you can see, there's a lot of cool options we can add to the arena system, and therefore it can become a very huge project. So we need to break it down, right? Starting with the back end, a robust tracking ranking system, and then we go on from there, right? And then we have farming, also quite self-explanatory. We want to make it more sophisticated than it was in the first game. We actually have more manual play role when you're maintaining your crops and you know, taking care of those seeds and making plants, so you can do more alchemy or components for the different, you know, refining after that. So a cool nifty little system, and we want to put a little bit more manual work on the player, so it's interesting and a little bit more engaging. But yeah, it allows you to. There are seeds, right? And with these seeds, you can refine and plant and grow your own stuff. Breeding, a little bit similar, but obviously instead of plants, we are talking about creatures, mounts, and so on. Crossbreed them, refine them, make them a little bit stronger. It's important that we're going to rebalance this time so it doesn't become one horse to rule them all, which was the case in Mortal 1. That kind of wrecked the balance a little bit. We want to make sure that tamers is always a desired profession. We will always need fresh tamers, but there's also room for breeding where you can, you know, refine your creatures or mounts. We also want to have those abilities where the appearance changes and you can see the differences. So that makes it the system becomes a little bit larger also time wise. Die system, a very cool system that I think everyone will enjoy. We had a very cool die system in the first game, but we were missing some very important quality of life components. You could do insane refinement to get very unique different colors. There was millions of combinations for colors, everything from animals, fishing, everything, right, can extract colors in different forms. And you can refine them and make them stronger and more effective, cool looking, right? And then you put them in a dye tube to produce that color type. And then you can dye all cloth, soft tissues, those type of things. And you can have a guild color, and you can run as a group and in fashion. So it's a very cool system, and it allows you to do very unique, cool touches of colors for you and your guild, or just sell and be a dye tube seller, whatever you want, right? So a cool system that gives more freedom to design your gear, pretty much. Guild logo emblem system, a little bit similar, but we're talking about the symbols, right? Design your logos for your guild, put it on your banners, put it on your city, and again, have your own unique logo for your guild, which is a cool thing also that a lot of groups want. And then of course we have boats. That is one of the biggest system because it requires wagons first of all. So kind of makes sense that wagons is goes before boats, because there are components in the wagon system that is required to even make those parts in the boat system. And then we have the water system, the crafting part of how you craft the ships. And of course, for boats to make sense, we have to have water content, like stuff out in sea. We want combat, pirating by ships as well, so you can put siege machineries on them. So I would say that is the biggest feature so far that will take a lot of time to produce, because we need all these different parts. So yeah, those are some of the main features that will be available for you to tap into. We're gonna put this on the forums with descriptions under them as well, and also whoever is missing this will be able to read up on that. All right, let me proceed to the next one. We have combat areas. Obviously we have the adrenaline weapon ability system, which is quite a large one because it requires a lot of very sensitive experimenting and testing. So we are sure that this fits the game. It offers player skills, it has depth, and it doesn't just cater for dumb Zerg tactics. Those are important components along with that feature. So the plan with this is to tie an adrenaline system that allows you to utilize special moves from your different weapons. An example, with axes, you will be able to do a crushing blow, a cleave blow, and a cleave blow means you may be hitting 2 or 3 targets in one strike with less damage each hit. A blade may have a bleeding cut. If you manage to perform that correctly, you will make your enemies bleed for a moment if they don't stop the wound very quickly. There will be a shield breaker with hammers that allows you to make a lot of damage to shields and kind of, put them off for utilizing the shield for a moment. So we plan to have a few different abilities per weapon group, and since we have quite a few, you can understand very careful balancing and testing is required to make sure they all work, it's balanced and makes sense. So I would say that this is a very cool and exciting feature, but it requires time, right? We need to do this correctly. We can't just throw these moves in and they may interfere with combat balance very severely. So so that's why obviously it's going to be needing a lot of PTR, right? But that is what that entails. Game input, improvement, action queuing. So this is where we had this during the beta, and it was a little bit back and forth when we were testing a lot of things, combat beta. But it feels like people are missing it that were part of that, where you could actually queue up an action timed after the first one, which makes it much more fluid and responsive when you're fighting. So veterans feels it makes sense, it feels better, and noobs also get into the combat without feeling horrible initially because they don't know what they're doing. So it just helps the overall feeling of combat. But you have to still obviously hit that timer for it. You can't just queue up something and it auto-fights for you. It's just that you can time them in a nice way and do nice flowy attacks. And that could lead to some room for also giving small bonuses if those are timed in a proper manner. Again, needs a lot of testing and you know, making sure that it's a nice addition to the combat overall. Yeah, archery will also utilize that, obviously. Charge blink allows counter feints. You know, we talked about this as well. There's a few components. I would say that in this case we have a combat polish focused phase where there's a few components that goes into this, but it is separate from the adrenaline weapon abilities because they're quite separated and also quite complex. But this means you can charge up power when you have the blink. You can actually feint and do your attacks and still have that power. So you can actually engage without always waiting for a parry counter. Do you see what I mean? So you have a little bit more options on the offensive side rather than waiting for a parry counter. Again, just to give a little bit of room of options there. Kicks are planned for including a weapon ability as well to experiment and test if that is something that could work, fits, balanced. Stamina gain on successful parry is one of those quite small also that we plan to have enough combat focus patch. So if we look at combat, there's a few things animation wise, fluid wise, and charge blink and stamina gain on successful parry fits in that package, right? Looking to re-enable decapitations, dismembering, those cool things that just add and refine the blood splatter system a little bit. So it just feels more awesome when you're on the battlefield. and when you're fighting outnumbered, you can do these good successful parries and get a stamina bonus back and utilize that when you're outnumbered. Hopefully some of those things just adding to the skill ceiling and to the experience and feeling of the combat. It just makes it more awesome, right? So and those later one are actually smaller projects. I would say the adrenaline here is much larger than the rest here. And I would say that we probably have them in two groups. One of the group is the adrenaline special ability move, which is a large system, and the other one is just combat polish improvement, which are the rest of the points, including the ones I said. We want to re-enable the decapitation, the blood splatter system, and those things that simply exploded in Unreal 4. Hopefully they're not exploding on Unreal 5. So that's something is win-win for everyone. Everyone that loves combat, from noobs to veterans, will obviously enjoy those kind of refinement, right? So that is the combat part. And yeah, maybe it does make sense to start with the combat focus improvements before the abilities. So maybe that's already, you know, deciding the order of those things. So yeah, we will refine this on the forums when you get the information posted there as well. All right, let's go to the next one. So here we have a few RP social components. Tavern board games, finally, you know, a lot of people have been asking for this one for a very long time. We want to be able to meet in a Tinrem or whatever city, go to the tavern, the local tavern, sit down at the chairs or table and play some blackjack or Texas Hold'em, poker together, tournaments, non-tournaments, and just be able to earn money by playing poker with each other's or lose money, right? I can't wait for this one personally because I'm gonna be in there. You're gonna see me in tavern and I'm gonna take your money playing poker. So I hope to see you there. It's gonna be a nice, chill, socializing opportunity away from all stress and chaotic things, right? So I'm very much looking forward to those components finally going into the game. I'm gonna take your money, Nasser. I will try. You know, I've been playing a lot of Texas Hold'em, so it's up to show the skills, right? Up to show those skills. Theory. Did you miss the beginning of this? The theory have already been. We already gone through theory. VoIP. So VoIP is this cool little system where you can use your webcam or any camera pretty much, where it recognizes your facial motions and transfer them in a compressed, reduced version on your character. But you can pretty much make your facial expressions on your character and talk, and you will see that happens on the character. Pretty cool. I showed a little bit of that in the early state in a stream very long time ago when I was a Thursar down here instead of my face, and you saw my expression and movements one-to-one on a character, in-game character, and it was really cool, and it's quite enjoyable and fun, because imagine all those expressions you can do. It's just awesome. It just adds to that first-person realism, unique encounter. So we can probably offer both for in-game and for streamers, if that's an interest. So that is that feature. And then of course we have VR support that can become from quite the project to an insane project, depending on how far we're pushing it when it comes to control schedules, using controllers and so on. So obviously that would be in steps. It goes a little bit hand in hand, or at least a nice support, for instance, for the tavern board games. Imagine sitting down at the tavern and put on your VR set, if you have one, and just play poker and socialize and VoIPing. It's really cool, right? It just goes to insane new depth that haven't been seen in a MMO ever. And you know, this will be a thing sooner or later, depending on interest, right? So cool feature. Let's proceed, guys. We have more on the list. Player gear. So here obviously we have new weapons. If we want to add new head types, handle types of any types that will be added into the crafting, and you will have new kind of stuff to play around with and fight with, right? We want to add those big weapons for the Thursars, you know, just expanding on that if that's something of interest. We have crossbows, a cool system that gives you the state of using some of the different crossbows we're gonna implement, from smaller to larger, that obviously have their own loading, reloading functions, and you know, a strong shot or quick reloader repeater. So there will be a few different options here. But yeah, you understand what it's quite self-explanatory. Throwing weapons. When we looked at this list, throwing weapons is actually very high bang for the buck. We can very easily utilize a new state where you can throw weapons. And this can be anything from throwing axes to daggers to morning stars or potions with different effects. So it's a cool system that gives anyone on the field another depth of component that utilize some range, right, to your style. New armor set, similar as new weapons. If we are looking, we want to add a new medium, light or heavy armor sets from any of the clades. This is the one. Dual wielding weapons is very complex feature that we are unsure yet how it will even work, because we tried it in one way in Mortal 1. It didn't turn out as we were hoping for, so it just became useful for special abilities. So this time we want to experimenting with it, rebuild completely, and see if we can make some proper use of dual wielding. So this will be needing a lot of experimenting and designing. So it's a complicated one, because we are not sure yet what we can do with our game when it comes to dual wielding. Yeah, obviously may be more beneficial for the queuing system. So some of them goes a little bit hand in hand. The offhand torch, some of them unlocks abilities for some of them. Like offhand torch allows you to do certain things obviously with your offhand holding that torch, so you're not the torch bearer only in the guild. When you go to a dungeon, you can actually have a weapon in your other hand, so a little bit better utility. So that is that one. Also not too terrible for us to do. We will line this in terms of this is a quick one, which means it will be very close on the roadmap if we pick those, and these ones may be complicated, long ones that will not be early on in the roadmap, so even in the next roadmap and so on. And we have more mountable creatures. We want to see if there's, when it's time to add more mounts. We have the light gators, and we have multiple mountable options on the different creatures we already have in the world. So, that's one of those if you need indication of that. Right, let's proceed, guys, before I'm losing my voice. Which one was this? Okay. And then we have territory control specified. We have a relic system, which means we will design and implement X amount, starting with a few ones. I don't know how many we start with, but a nice pack of different types of relics. And they will have different types of powers. You will see a star falling from the sky. There will be a specific sound, and you will see the trail and glow from out of space falling down to mill on Earth. And everyone see it across the world. So that means you can go there if you want to. And when it's just fallen from the sky, it's going to be glowing hot, so you can't touch it. When you are there, obviously that means anyone may come there and take a look what the hell is going on. And when it cools down, anyone can pick it up. And when you pick it up, you are holding this very specific relic. You're gonna see that you're carrying it. And this relic have magical powers. And it depends on what type of item it is. But normally, this is an item you want to bring to your city and place it in a relic building. That's how you utilize the powers from it. When it's in your building, your possession, your guild benefit from these powers. And obviously it can be a small village and put it in your relic as well. There will be many different types. Some people may not care as much of them. Some people may want to go to war at any cost to get them. And you can't bank them. And you can't log out with them. It may be a sword in one case, which means you're running around with this magical sword that kills the crap out of your enemies. But obviously you may be a big target, right? Because you can't bank it, So you have to prepare for these consequences. And there will be multiple ones over time spread out in the world. And it's up to the players if you want them or not. If you want to fight for them or not. And this is one of the cool things, because a lot of people are thinking about sieging. Oh, you need to prepare your siege and it's all or nothing. You have to siege everything. You need to destroy everything. Either you fail or you succeed. That's one way of sieging your enemies, right? But this adds a much lighter level of tier when it comes to sieging. For instance, if you see, well, let's go get a relic today. You can grab a small gang and you can start sieging only to try to get the relic. You don't need to make a huge insane investment to go for a relic. And there may be small cool skirmishes fighting over these relics. Every now and then you can just grab your friend, go and try to fight for a relic and have a lot of fun and casual encounters. So that is the relic war. From large scale to small scale, I would say. But like I said, it doesn't require huge investment siege-wise. That's one of the cool things with it. So small groups can also try to go for any relic wherever they want, whenever they want. All right. New TC buildings and services. So that's up to the players, right? If the players want the broker system, you want to be able to have a specific shop functions for a specific house for TC, or anything else that you find that we want now rather than later. This is it, right? Grand Theft Relic, exactly. Brokers. yeah, that's one of the options here, right? If that's a high demand, this is the one to go for. Right, let's continue. You see, it's a big list, right? All right, and then we have new dungeons. Obviously, self-explanatory. We have got a lot of great feedback from you, the players. What is good in a dungeon? What is fun? What is great? How they should be designed in terms of multiple entrances and exits. What kind of rewards and where we should place some of them. Obviously, good content for everyone, right? We know we need and want more dungeons spread out over Mialand. And sooner or later we need them. We want to see what do we want first. That's the purpose of this kind of interaction, right? Next one, new points of interest. How we want to expand on those, add a bunch more with more interesting clues, riddles, hidden treasures, and more rewarding treasures to just, again, make the world feel more rewarding wherever you go. Not as heavy commitment as a dungeon, more casually, but still a lot more of those. And an example of those, if you have examples, we would like to see these types of points of interest with these types of rewards or threats. You know, we're open to hear that when it comes to this one. New creatures, also self-explanatory. Do you want new opponents now? New creatures types, new humanoid types, invasions types. You know, we want to see the interest when it comes to that. So that's that one. Let's continue. This is the last one for now. We also have magic schools. And the current options we are starting out with, because these are the ones that can add a lot of cool combat systems ways. Different from the other schools. Quite very different, I would have to say. So even non-mages may want to tap into one of them because they are not classic magic, just throw magic, but it could be like a hybrid melee fighting magic component. Staff magic, for instance, you first have to learn to craft and create your staff. You can use this staff as a weapon, and you can also tap into a lot of channeling types of magic with this one. Illusionism, you are a master thief of illusions. So obviously pretty cool to mix a thief and illusionist, because you can then obviously both fool AI but also players. You can have crazy things being displayed and the players don't know if it's real or not. Some of them you can even interact with if you're really mastering the perfect illusionists spells. But if they're weaker, it may only be a vision to fool them on distance, and then it breaks the closer you get or even interact with it. So a pretty cool thing that can be used to fool the enemies. Holy shit, they have 10 enemies and they have 5 Mulvas, but in fact it's one little noob transferring items, and they scare the freak out of the murderers to not even engage. How cool would that be, man? It's fucking insane. So there's some cool nifty things tying to some of these schools that isn't really the classic mage throwing fireballs. You see what I mean? That's why they're here. We want to show that there are other types of magical components that are not just throwing fireballs, right? Animism. You can take form of different animals and beasts, convert your limbs and be a melee marauder, crazy stuff, and just be a beast. Like, you know, Twilight Vampire or those lycanthropes. Go beast mode with mixed magic in very cool ways. So that's a little bit what they're tapping into. And they also utilize animal components for beasts and animals in the world. Mentalism is a cool mixed school that allows you to do blinks and specific attacks as well. If you make a specific build to be a lightweight, small, thin, not a fat or obese mage, but the opposite, to utilize your blink travel strength to go in and out and do specific hit and runs tactics. Obviously you will be weaker when you're a thin, small character body type, but you can then more stronger utilize some of those utilities much more effectively than if you were a big, heavier mage. Harmonism is you utilize instruments in magical ways to do different types of boost and magical components. You can confuse enemies in different ways, and you can play cool instruments. You know, the cantinas in Star Wars Galaxies, when you're using instruments, a little bit of that also. So there's some cool component that can be tied to this. So yeah, those are some of the options when it comes to if the community want more magic type in the game. Like I mentioned, we do want to finalize the last component in elementalism, and we want to revisit a few spells in the other schools, and then go to one of these depending on popularity and what people vote on. All right. So that is the big list of that we're gonna use to create our upcoming roadmaps. No, we're not porting any spaghetti codes hypnostatic. We stopped that long time ago, and it doesn't. You can't even just port it anymore because the systems are so different. We rebuilt the core in so many ways. So the next step for us is to post this on the forums with information on it, so everyone that wasn't participating here can still read up a little bit on them. And then eventually we're gonna announce the voting, starting the voting using the account sections. So now you kind of know what we're looking at. It's gonna be interesting to see what you guys want first, what the popularities are in these different categories. So yeah. Let's see. I think I missed the assassination, the rogue assassination, or did I? But yeah, that was supposed to be on the list as well. Similar to thievery, you can go to assassination style, or if it was in the same category. Along with that comes trap making, poisoning. We will add that on the forums as well. So yeah, and these are many of the ones that we have had kept repetitive questions. When is this coming? Are you going to add that? When is this coming? Are you going to add that? Those are included pretty much on this list. It's quite a big list. So like I said, there will be several roadmaps to go through delivering all these, obviously, right? It's going to be a long time. I want to make that clear. But the point here is to identify what do we want first, what is most popular, where's the most bang for the buck that we all want to enjoy, right? And there will be something in every category. So we can't just focus on, like here, we can't just focus on magic schools, right? And just do magic for a very long period of time. 5 years, that's a bit stretching. I have quite a lot more on the list, but these are what I would say most likely bring most value. Most people are interested of them, so it makes sense to pick these out of the even further list that we obviously eventually we will continue on whenever we have delivered these ones. But these ones are the main, I would say, that most people are interested in. Now the next step is, in what order do we put this together? Can you see the full list again, or just it's actually 7 pages. So I went through all 7 pages, and we're going to post them on the forums as well, so you can all see them there. I just shortly went through them as well, explain them, but we'll have something written description for them as well on the forums. Yes, the profession tattoo barber is there as well. we could add that already in this list as well, I guess. We have a pack of additional hero and beards already, but we don't want to add them into the character creation because we want that pack for along with that profession. I guess we could add that on the list just to see if it stands out in any way or form in terms of prioritized order. Yeah, I guess I could scroll through them very quickly. Here are the main features, I would say, that are not a very specific category, but big main features. I'll just go through them quickly again. And we have more combat focused. These will most likely be two categories. The adrenaline system is one, which is a huge one. The next one is a combat polish phase, I would say. Smoothing things out, looking at some of the animations, give you a charge blink that allows for a counter feint. Stamina gains when you do successful parries to give more skill ceiling, and 1x versus X abilities a little bit, you know. Decapitations, we want to enable that again. It crash declines in Unreal 4. We will try that in Unreal 5. Refining the blood. Have some ARP elements. We want board games. I want to play poker with you. I'm gonna hang in the tavern every evening to win your money. Have some player gear. Quite self-explanatory. New weapon types options, crossbow functions, throwing weapons, new armor sets, dual wielding weapons, offhand torch, more mountable creatures. Territory control related relic system, quite hot. I suspect this will be quite popular. There's quite a lot of excitement thing here. It's light skirmishing, infinite PvPing pretty much with that one. You fight for the relics and you can't just log out with it or bank them. They will be always persistent in the world. Pretty cool stuff. Very successful in the first game, but we're refining it to be even better in this version. And of course, if there's specific TC function services you want now, the second one is on the list here for that. And we got some PvP stuff, new dungeons, always a big desire to have those hotspots in the world, right? New input points of interest, and we're looking forward to get suggestions, feedback on that. What you would like to see? New creatures, similar thing there. If you want to have a pack of new opponents, and then we have the magic options. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna post it on the forums with some information, so everyone can dig at it and then discuss, give your inputs or whatever. We will get the information of. Hopefully, it clearly shows us these are the areas that most of our players want now rather than later. And then we're going to open up the voting polls, the voting in your accounts. All right. All right. I guess we getting close to the 2-hour mark already, guys. So we are... I guess in good time for let's see, for the next step here, right? Let's make it happen. Oh my god, another one. Tears FPS, thank you very much for the prime. Thank you very much. Let's go. Exclamation mark M2, guys. It is up. Let's do it. Damn, it's cold here, guys. 17 degrees in my room. 17 degrees Celsius. Winter is coming. Another one, eh? Smooch kisses with 13 months. Appreciate it, appreciate it. Where's Saduki? Saduki is obviously a very huge project also, right? There's so many components needed to add the next continent. Obviously, it is a requirement sooner or later, and if things goes as planned, population is steadily growing, it's a requirement, right? Because Milan can only hold so many players before it gets crowded, and we will need more lands, and obviously sooner or later it's going to be very exciting to have a huge cool expansion of new lands to explore and discover with new cities, dungeons, mobs, craftable, new everything in many categories is included in a new continent openings. So we are kind of adjusting our workflow depending on scalability and population growth moving forward. It's something we always have to be very prepared for. We're having a pipeline. We know what's needed to now generate and build another continent when we already done that work on Milan, moving from Unreal 4 to Unreal 5. Milan can hold like 1,500 max comfortable. We aren't even that far off. I think we can afford a few more players before it feels, that there's a lot of players everywhere. We've been close to 3,000 at peaks, and that's when I got a lot of DMs saying, Henrik, you have to do something because I can't go to a single freaking dungeon or camp or anything without getting killed by different groups and players and guilds, and I can't even leave the city without being killed left and right. I only get those when we are in very high numbers. And yeah, obviously, again, it's harder to have your choice to try to hide and avoid a lot of dangers in PvP if it's crowded on Milan, right? So, yeah. We're looking to maybe add a few additional FOV options. Will the Savage Mantle Cloak from Spotted Pipe be a discontinued tradable item, or will it be untradeable, retrievable? I can reroll my character and always retrieve it. Yeah, so you have a new window now. If you log in on PTR, you will see there's a reward button. If you click that one, that's where you can retrieve specific items like that cape or future veteran capes that comes over time. Those are bound to your account, so if you re-roll a character, you can still retrieve that window and get it again. You can't trade them or lose them. Lord bro, no dungeon in game that is not but locked down. I mean, obviously, if you only have a few dungeons, right, they can easily be locked down by a few guilds. But the more dungeons we have spread out, obviously, the harder that will become, right? The more land, continents, and more dungeons, the more options for all random players to visit these different things. If one side is completely locked off, all the dungeons, there will be more of a time that allows them to go there instead. That is the long-term goal here, right? All right, let's run a few more minutes and then we are rolling the dice. Rolling the dice. So guys, have you been dude? Thank you for the prime. 3K is unplayable, over 2K is really unpleasant. It varies a lot, I think, but I think many kind of are on the same, that 4K is probably in the upper cap for me, land sized. Around 4K is gonna be chaotic, very chaotic. I think that is the general consensus from a lot of players that's been here for a long time. 3K already, yeah, probably already feeling quite crowded, so 4K may be pushing it to extreme levels. I'm not sure, but that may be correct based on what a lot of people are saying also. 1800 was a sweet spot. Yeah, maybe. I mean, obviously it depends a lot, right? If you are a person that loves to run into all kind of crazy shenanigans and be prepared for lockdown dungeons and conflicts left and right, then that may be, you know, you maybe want to be in the upper spectrum of amount. But if you're more want to be more exclusive and explore with your friends and not have too many conflicts, obviously you may want to have either more land or a few less players running around, right? But that's the thing, right? And that's why we eventually need more lands, because the plan is to grow, not just stand still. With Unreal 5, we enter a very important switch of phase in Star Wars, which means obviously we need to follow up and make sure everything is good, starting with Unreal 5. But so far everything looks very solid, and also a big thanks to everyone that are participating in PTR, helping us debug a lot of the performance struggle we have been doing. But with that in place, we will also start approaching obviously new content, quality of life features that makes the game fun and exciting. We've been very still for a very long time on live, several months of nothing, in not the best shape because of a lot of TC issues. We addressed that. Obviously people looking forward and getting very hungry for exciting content and features to expand this game, get more sand in the sandbox. And we're entering that phase also along with Unreal 5 finally. So, you know, things should be picking up again, exciting things going in, more fun, more enjoyment, more regular following up patches and content patches over time, and pinpointing specific marketing to show the game for more players out in the world. And hopefully we will grow in a controlled pace. And that also allows us to expand the team to give you even more gameplay over time. Can you add how much development time we estimate it takes for each feature when you vote? Yeah, so we have already a category for each one. If it's a short, medium, high, very high, we have those kind of categories already. So we're gonna see how we present this so it kind of makes sense, because that helps you to also get the idea that even though if majority are voting for one feature that may take, you know, 2 roadmaps or two patches or months to finish, that means it can't be on the first batch of roadmap, even though majority wants it. You see what I mean? So yeah, we will try to make that indication as well, so you get a better idea of, even though we want it, this is a big one, it's going to take a while, depending on what it is. Some of them, like I said, are fast, some of them medium, and some are bigger projects. Meals, donkeys, those are pretty cool. A lot of people have been asking for them to have backs. Maybe we can add those versions, the mules, the donkeys again. It's part of one of those, right? Do we want new mounts types? Do we start with the Lycator, perhaps, most likely? And then maybe the mules. Maybe we can cover the donkey. It's not that far off from a horse, so we have a pretty good baseline to start molding from. We'll see, right? We're considering combining arena mode and dimension run into one project. They have a few functions that they both benefit from or use. Yes, we talked about that when we went through them all. So they have some similarities, absolutely, which means if we do one of them, the other one is already getting one component required for them. 4 games were on Sprint 5, Theory was on Refire Bracket. Why are they not done already? Because we stated when we removed them, look, we can't stress those functions in. They were half finished. We had to drop some of the important bug fixing if we wanted to stick with that. So instead of that, when we saw it doesn't make sense, we said we have to postpone those two to focus on Unreal 5. It's a huge project and we want to make sure we cover the Unreal 5 transition in a good state, and then we can 100% focus on the features instead rather than have them spread out. So I hope that makes sense. That was the reason when we did that. Fire Banks, thank you for the prime. The broker is not unfinished. It's more like we want quality of life on it, right? And there's a lot of things we want quality of life on, but it doesn't mean that it's not finished. But we know when it comes to adding quality of life, which also goes along with this. So these are just features. We don't add quality of life or bug fixing on these lists because obviously we're always prioritizing those, right? And like I mentioned, when we have finished the last thing in elementalism, we plan to go back on necro, spiritism, and echo. There's a few things we want to polish and fix there before we continue on next magic school, whenever that is. And yeah, Beastmaster needs a lot of balancing, I would say. We still need to refine some of those abilities to make full use of those. So yeah, we need to polish there as well. The UI, I'm not sure what part you mean about the UI. 2K already crashed the server. No, absolutely not. So it was many months ago we had struggles with main performance on population. Since the Steam release, we had dedicated coders on optimizing the servers, and we have gone leaps over the months. So even though we haven't been close to the cap, that we have kept pushing those optimization patches. The PTR today have one huge server optimization that isn't live today even. So there's, with Unreal 5, we also get a huge optimization on the network. So no, the server doesn't crash due to population. What happens first is if we have a lot of network packaging queuing up or chaos because we have a lot of people and a lot of fights happening simultaneously, you will notice small lag happening first naturally, and when that happens it pauses the login queue to slow down. So whenever people logs out, it allows people to log in, and as soon as the queue have released a little bit, it removes the cap entirely. So it's a dynamic system that handles it. And we haven't gone close to those as long as all the functionals running normally, because the capacity have been greatly improved a lot since Steam. So yeah, if the server crashes, it is because of a very specific reason when something gone very wrong. And that haven't been at all related to any capacity problems as of latest period of the latest year. It's been specific codes that have been wrong that caused either node crashes or, in worst case, server crashes. But they have gone through all of those that have happened over the year and managed to solve all of them we have found and got reports, logs of so far. But obviously, the more players are playing regularly, the higher the chances is that something that goes wrong more rapidly, which also leads to possible node crashes or, worst case, a server crash. And if there's less players, the chances of the code goes wrong is obviously less, right? So it increases the rate of a possible crash naturally. But yeah, every time that happens, we go through the logs carefully as a team and do everything we can to solve them and patch them as soon as possible, so we always have server stability. That's obviously very important. Obviously, if we see insane amount of players wanting to play, we are adapting the marketing to the population as well. If we start out carefully and we see that we are fully in control of population, we can start pushing more and more marketing. So we are very careful about that. So we distribute the marketing in a very efficient way, and we pinpoint the marketing. If we see, even though we don't do any marketing and for some reason we have too many thousand players that want to log in and the queue becomes ridiculous, we have to scale up with additional content as if they were another Saruka continent, which still allows you to move between them if we get that many players. But we have a much higher capacity that allows the queue to move very quickly depending on how many players we have online. And like I said, we will adjust the marketing based on initial pressure. But obviously, if we see that, yeah, you know, we are growing rapidly, there's a big demand, more people want in, we will need additional continents, right? More land. 2K and boom. No, come on, I just explained it. Ridiculous. We've been surpassing 2K many times without the server sweating whatsoever. I'm just saying, Papa GoFundMe, we all donate, hire some temps, get shit done, chicka boom. Curse girl THMX. So the plan is obviously to go live on 28th on Epic Game platform. We're starting the free month, and after that we hope that we have a good support by players wanting to subscribe to the game, continue to get content and enjoy the game, and that will in return allow us to hire more developers, add more things to the game. That is the loop we are aiming for. Yes, last time we had server issues, it was not because we had hit a cap of player amount or anything like that. We had multiple nodes lining up, crashing, and dumping everything on the next node, crashing, dumping on the next one. It became a chain reaction that was horrible. So eventually the entire world was running on one node, and it just broke down. It was a severe issue that happened, and it looks like Sebastian found that issue and solved it. So that was not due to something commonly being, you know, happening. We're gonna put the roadmap on the forums so you can read it all there. So you'll get it soon. When does the updates happen? So I'm discussing with the team if we wanna roll out a soft Unreal 5 on Steam, just to make sure everything is good before we also start Epic Games Store. We're discussing those details right now, but obviously on the 28th we need to be live, right, on everything. Just like most of us just need to come back in 6 to 1 month for a relaunch. What do you mean? The relaunch is on the 28th. That's next week. So come back next week. Epic Optimism. Epic Optimist. There's still plans to have new for the new content to be potentially be a NA server. That is still a possibility. I can't confirm 100% exactly what route we need to go, but it's something we are evaluating still. All right, shall we roll it, ladies and gentlemen? I think it's time, eh? Holy shit, yeah, already 20 past. 20 past. Let's roll. Let's roll the dice. Holy shit, I'm way behind as usual. I'm jumping down now and then we will roll it. Oh my god. All right. All right, I will roll it, guys. Let me find a button. Okay, good luck, everyone. Snoop and pilfer is the thievery. The chosen one, the Jedi function is not on roadmap yet. I don't know if it's suitable to have it as a votable option already, because even though a lot of people can get experience surrounding it, it's still just one player at a time that can tap into that. So it's not like everyone and any casual new player can benefit from that. It's just a cool thing in the background, and if you are lucky, you will see him or face him or fight with him or against him. So you see what I mean? That's why I'm not sure, because it still is quite the project. So we need to aim on a lot of bang for the buck, where most people get excited and can enjoy those functions before we may get to those more cool but more rare functions, right? Awfully long games. I mean, Thiever was cool in the first game, minus, like I said, no consequences, no balance, which we know exactly how to deal with this time around. All right, giveaway time, guys. Good luck, everyone. Let's go. Yeah, the Quebec, exactly. Boom! Congratulations, Twilio. Are you here? Are you here? Are we good with Twilio? What do we say? It's not here even. I see a few Twilio in the list. I don't like that. I mentioned that before. You know, we don't want a person to do a few Twilio accounts to up the chances. You see what I mean? We talked about this before. Shall we re-roll it? It does look like there's multiple Twilios. I don't like that. I don't like that. Alright? So don't do that if you want to try to win the key. Stop it. Stop it. Okay? I'm rolling again. I don't like that. Whatsoever. Alright? I'm rolling. I'm rolling. Let's see. Boom. Gryphon. All right, let's take a look here then. Gryphon. Let's see. Gryphon. Why do we have 55 Gryphon? Is this? I see a few legit one, but looks strange, guys. Is it strange or not? Griff is all right. I don't know if it's the same or not. I can't tell. It's there seems to be some legit. Is really just a popular name, Gryphon. Is it? As I see, most of them seems real, right? Yeah, I think this is the one then. I think we're good for now this week. Let's go for it. I don't see the same new accounts that I did on the previous one. Let's do it then. Let me find that little key. That little key. Bam. Oh my god. Send a little DM, Gryphon. Raimundi, thank you for the prime, 8 month. Thank you. Thank you. Congrats, Gryphon. Are you MO1 veteran or MO2 veteran? Gryphon. Oh, Jesus, my freaking neck. Oh, that's it. That's it. Whew. My God. Now only one giveaway per session normally. We got a little gamble, old school gamble play away. So not too much old school, I would say. Pretty fresh in the Mortal universe. My neck is not very good, but I'm all right. But yeah, we managed through the stream today, so I think it's a good cue when my neck is locking up with extreme puncture pain. We are working on the text and the bubbles right now. The UI is wrong and fooling the players, so we are working on that right now. Griffin is a mythical creature. It is a cross between lion and eagle. I think I know which one, yes. The Holy Fool, thank you for the 18 month. What a streak, man. What a streak. Impressive streak. Guys, have you tried the task system on PTR? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. And you can get some pretty cool capes from that, eh? Pretty cool capes. What am I dodging now, Mo 2? I never dodge anything, right? I always respond to everything at least once. Sometimes I repeat myself many times, but I don't want to do too many times because we have a lot of people that have listened on my responses once and twice already, right? And it just usually starts cycling after 2 hour mark, so that's why that's a pretty good time to wrap things up usually. There is often all games and primarily used solely for griefing with no consequences or loss, sword on all games. No, Orson, the thing is, Thievery Mod Line, you also access to lock picking and things that you can do out in your adventure. You don't have to, be doing anything to another player if you don't want to. There will be a lot of content over time with lock picking functions. And you can thieve. We plan to allow you to make thievery against AI, but also against players, obviously, right? But with a more consequence balance function this time around, so you don't just go naked, try to steal, fail, die, repeat. You will lose standing as well. So you have to consider it more carefully before you start doing that in a city. No, griefing is not the whole point of the game. Absolutely not. Just that a true sandbox game, we are very free to do almost whatever you want. And in a very dynamic, complicated game world, there are obviously room for a lot of sneaky things. And that's always a challenge to make the game fair and controlled and prevent as much griefing as possible, right? That's the goal for Mortal Line. So I already responded on that one, Knero. I already responded to that one a few minutes ago. We made a public statement as well why we had to remove some things on the roadmap when we were focusing on Unreal 5 for very important secured reasons. And we wouldn't been here in this state if we didn't. So good call. And now you will be participating in choosing the order of all those things. Lockpicking is fine, but lockpicking would need severe consequences for being caught. There will be severe consequences for being caught when you try to pickpocket a player, especially in a town. All right? Severe. Severe! We are possibly looking into a clay respec later on in a specific setup. Again, I can't say when we will fit this and where it makes sense to fit it. You have a huge, very exciting list now to start digging at, voting at shortly also, and you will help us show us what should we do next, right? On upcoming roadmaps. No problem, Nero. But like I said, I always try to respond on everything at least once. And I don't want to bore everyone out by looping it too much, right? Yeah, so we plan to expand on the task system. Now we have combat tasks, right? We want to do the fishing task and refining crafting also. So there's something in each category, not only combat. So yeah, we're going to expand that now when we have the system in place. We've done further optimization on CPU and also overall GPU optimization. We're really trying to crank the juice and the life out of Unreal Engine 5 when it comes to give us much performance as possible. And there's to a degree where, we do rely heavily on Unreal Engine 5 and their minimum requirements, which is obviously increased from Unreal 4, next generation stuff. So obviously we struggle with that as much as we can, but I think we've gone extremely far when it comes to, as much as we can with what we have. There's a few things more we know we can do, but going to require a little bit more time. That will also help a little bit in the future. Do you see PAX Day as a competitor in the genre? Not really. We have looked at how they're developing their game. Seems to be a cool team. Obviously experienced developers also coming from EVE Online, right? A cool game. And it's very clear they are focusing on a very cool dynamic building function, and that is their main hook, right? And if you love building castles and buildings very dynamically, it's a very cool thing, very cool feature, right? But it comes at a cost, and they don't have any meshing or large scale network MMO solution. They went more the small instanced node setup that Unreal Engine offers as a multiplayer thing. So I wouldn't say it's the same kind of large-scale world network multiplayer. It's more like small instanced, 100 players, like many other so-called online half MMO games. Arc, I don't know how many can you play on Arc today. Somewhere around 100 as well, right? On per server, per instance, if I'm not mistaken. I don't recall the exact numbers. But you see that kind of approach. So they're not trying to build a MMO network solution. They are trying to see how do we make a group session based on one of those servers using Unreal's network multiplaying options, and try something small scale there. And very convenient, and minimizing risks of large scale network challenges, I would say. And yeah, it doesn't look like they have collision, so that's a very big game changer. They don't have collision on characters, right? So it's more like, wow, you can stand in each other's and just spam swings. So very different combat, very different, not the same type of large-scale MMO network solutions. I don't know what kind of sand they're going to focus on other than building forts and obviously fight, right? So I don't think it's close. There are many other games that are much more close, like Even Line, even though it's space and spaceships, makes it quite different. But there are much more comparison in some of the core functions. Ultima Line, Dark Age of Camelot. But looks nice. And more theme park, right? And pay to play, free to play microtransaction, I think it looks like. But I could be wrong. I could be completely wrong. But that's my initial early small interpretation of what I've seen of their dev blogs and updates. But frequently they aim for to release patches every 6 weeks or so. We will try to have the shortest minimum span for it to be practical, right? And there will most likely be something of the larger content in every second or so, depending on how we puzzle together the roadmaps. Lobbies are much easier than what you've done. Yeah, I mean, just making lobbies games like Dark and Darker, any just multiplayer game, they are not MMO. I think that's quite misleading. I wouldn't say they are a classic MMO, at least. It is utilizing many servers and doing Unreal Engine multiplayer games, match sessions. That's what it is. And that's not a network MMO solution. Many games go that approach. And I find it odd when they label it MMO when it's not really, I would say. But maybe when they say that they have hundreds of those servers spread out, it becomes thousands of players, right? But yeah, I don't know if there's specific terms for it. But yeah, absolutely. You can avoid a lot of network one world challenges if you go that route. So we fully understand why many go that route, and try just to make some cool, nice, small gameplay action straight to the point. But a very different game from a game like Mortal 9, I would say. Yeah, I agree. There are multiplayer action arenas. There's a big difference between Dark and Darker and something like Mortal 9 2. Yeah, exactly. And it looks like when I saw their network approach, PAX Stay is the same as Dark and Darker. They use one Unreal server for their players, like 100 players. So you can never do a siege like in Mortal Online in PAX Day if they don't change the network solution, I would say. Healthy addiction, yeah, but if you there was used to be a term when the MMO genre was birthed that you need to have at least 1,000 players in one world to call it a MMO, a massively multiplayer online game. If you have 100 as a cap on one server, do you call that MMO? When I grew up and learned what MMO is and what the term and label was when listening to Origin and Ultima Line, it's not a MMO. It's a multiplayer game. And it's very different in terms of how you build a game. Faster, easier, and you don't have to consider a lot of the troubles and challenges that we have to face. So, it's very... Sometimes we said, why didn't we? It would be so much easier, right? But our passion lie in making a huge world where thousands of players can play together, meet together, and such. But yeah, that's just my view on it. I guess you can call it whatever you want these days, right? MMO is a big thing, but to me, MMO meant RPG and 1K on the same server. Yeah, the old school label of MMO is at least you need at least 1,000 players in one world, one server, because you can't have a multiplayer network replication like Unreal Engine to make MMO. You can't have more than 100 people before things goes wrong. A network solution are built very differently to be able to handle large scale of packages and data and actions in the same game world between many multiple clients. Obviously, that comes at a cost, right? So you have to build everything surrounding that, and everything starts with the server network. It's lovely to throw that all out the window and just use Unreal Engine's multiplayer function because it's already done. But the downside is you can't make MMO. It's gonna be 100 players per server, right? PTR fighting was great, smooth, looked really good. Yeah, we were very happy with the result and the feedback we got on our latest improvement on PTR. Yeah, you can go from one server to another server in many of those games, but you're still limited by the Unreal Engine network. You can't have 1,000 players in one huge area, right? You have 100. So that means they need to make very small maps, because if you only have 100, obviously you need to make a small arena match to cater for that, right? Makes sense. And that means they can put all the energy on that little map, optimize it, and whatever function they have in that area. So very different types of game and how you create them. But yeah, I mean, we have had 460, I think it was close to 460 as a record in one location, everyone fighting, and it worked. Everyone had lower FPS, but it worked. The server didn't have any issues, and it was an insane sight to see 460 players on the screen all over the place, shooting magic, boulders, fighting, screaming. Holy shit. That's rare in a MMO, especially with these type of details. Like I said, Pack Stay doesn't have collision, you can stand in each other's. We have collision and body parts. It makes it 10 times more complicated and, you know, a different experience, I would say. A different approach, right? Depends on what you're looking for and what you care about, right? And we have first person. It's a key rule. You are the person. You can't cheat in looking around corners. Depends on what you're looking for, right? Yeah, we will see if we can increase the FOV option in one of the patches. We will take a look. Model 2 on Steam will need to purchase them again on the Epic Store for Unreal 5. No. If you already own a game, you will get Unreal 5, the patch, wherever you have it, either on Steam or Epic. So no, you don't have to buy anything. You will just get the patch and it will be Unreal 5. Do you have those login issues, Game Alone, on PTR, or have you tried that, or is it only on live? And do you have multiple accounts, and it's when you go back and forth of them? We are investigating this, and as much data as we can get, it helps us to identify what's going on, right? Because it doesn't happen everywhere for everyone, so that's the challenge, right? Chubsteronsky, thank you very much for the Prime, appreciate it. I want music like Doom when action or dungeons. They're pretty hardcore rock music in Doom, right? We have furthest player draw distances in the world, Kalea LA. You can't find a MMO on this type that allows you to see a player further away. So we don't plan to increase it further. We already are way beyond normal ranges. Free look, yeah, that could be a nice one, I agree. Yeah, Navy, but what happens if the next server is 100 and you have 50 people that want to go there in war? You can't. So what happens then? Those are the limitations, that you can't go large-scale sieging in Pack Stay until they change the network solution, right? I mean, sure, it can be 20 people spread out on all those servers, and you can go there with your group and siege another group of 20 people, and you can go to different servers and do that, sure. Similar to playing Ark, right? Rust or whatever. We have a transition, non-instanced world. Everyone can, pretty much go to the same location. There's no hard limit. The limit would be your client getting down to 1 FPS eventually, right? Depending on your hardware. And then, of course, physical land space when it comes to Midland. But you have the same login issues as live, at least for me. Average 20-minute waiting time for login. So we really want to have one of those cases so we can dig deeper, right? Because, whenever we ask a group or try with 50 people or everyone in the team, we don't experience this, so it's very hard to debug what may be happening in this case and if it's multiple accounts and so on. So yeah, we really need to dig into this, and we are very helpful to see, or very grateful if someone can, point out it's happening to me now, and hopefully when we can do that during work hours and Sebastian is here, he can debug it in a much more efficient way. It's strange that would be a thing that happens, since we haven't changed the code at all since, how many months is it? I don't recall. So yeah, we need to investigate, absolutely. It means the player pop in a node line? Yeah, but we support way more than 100 people in one node line. We don't have a hard cap. It depends on what they do. Like I said, we had a battle of, we had 600 people, 700 people in one node, where 460 of those were in one location fighting flawlessly. And the node wasn't hitting any caps or whatever. We have had several nodes crashing, which means the other nodes takes over, which meant we had 1,100 or something at most on one node at one time, and players wasn't even complaining. Only the one that got dropped from the nodes that died, but everyone that still played on that one node. With that showed that we have pretty good capacity on the nodes, and there's no hard cap on our nodes, and they're invisible, so it's not the same thing at all as you play on one server or another server. Loading time, go there with hard caps, right, by the network engine. So it's comparing apples and oranges, right? I think you can compare more Backstay, Dark and Darker, Arc. Those are a little bit more closer, I would say, in how they do this kind of server swapping and how we move between them, right? While EVE Online is a little bit more like Mortal Online. I think those are closer comparisons. All right, guys. FOB. Yeah, we'll take a look on the FOB. Those servers lag like crazy when forehand. Yeah, they're not built with that in mind. They're building those games with mind, like even 100 is a pretty big amount when playing Rust, right? So they don't focus on that. You jump in, you have those instant actions in small scale. on thousands of servers. And yeah, they don't play well with those types of numbers because they're not built and designed in mind to support it even. We're gonna continue with entities before we move on to touching the auto magic. All right, guys, I'm almost hitting 3 hours. I always run a little bit late, but like I said, it's always enjoyable to hang out with you guys to discuss all these things. Always interesting to hear your feedback and how you experience the game in different ways. We're gonna post this soon on the forums as well, so everyone can take a read there and write and discuss things. We're gonna clarify them, and then eventually sometime soon after, we're gonna open up the vote options on your account. So yeah, getting close, guys, to deliver one hell of a milestone: world first MMORPG on Unreal 5, and we can finally focus on one branch, one area of focus at a time again. It's going to be very exciting to deliver content and features again, and you're going to help us to pick those things. So it's going to be exciting. All right, let's take a look, guys. Let's do the classic raid poll, shall we? Yeah, there's been a lot of challenge, struggles, frustration throughout the journey of Modern Line. No doubt, we feel the pain as much, even more, believe it or not, than you do when you run into those things. We want to do everything we can to make the game the best possible sandbox experience ever. It's our passion. We spent over 16 years into this project. We strongly believe it. Obviously, many of you guys have been with us on this journey for a very long time, and we very much appreciate it. And reaching a new important milestone. So yeah, the journey will begin in Unreal 5 and Epic Games Store also very soon. Let's help me, guys, with raid time. All right, 1 minute to vote, guys. Hit it. Vote. It's up to you guys. I think we have rated everyone that is streaming, so you can decide. Just click here on the poll. There's a poll running, and you can vote on who we should raid today. That's all. Have 20 seconds left. Seems like Lourdes is taking the lead. Lourdes, Jake, Avira TV is in the lead. J45's birthday, yeah, that's right. He's turning 31, right? He's becoming an old man. We're all getting old. Yeah. I heard it was his birthday. We can always watch both and say happy birthday to Jake as well, right? Right. All right, Lourdes, it is today. All right. I want to thank you all for tuning in today, and thank you for all the questions, your donations, subscriptions, and all of that. We appreciate it. And we're getting to a very exciting time now. Very close to finally deliver Unreal 5. It feels a little bit unreal almost. We're going to do the roadmap voting sessions. So we will also, eventually when we have that ironed out, we made a proposal, we're going to publish them on the website as well. So you're going to help us with that. All right, let's raid Lourdes and say hello to him. All right, have a wonderful evening, and I will see you very soon again. And yeah, have a good night, and see you soon. Bye-bye.